Etymology has always been really fun and fascinating for me. The idea that everyday words we use have their own historical story behind how they came to be, I just think that's cool. When I was a science teacher, I was always trying to get my students to understand you can hack the curriculum and make this way easier for yourself if you just learn all these Latin roots. In biology and anatomy and physiology, you just have to know all of that to make sense of a question on a test. There are words that sound like they translate to something. Museum, that translates to House of the Muses or Seat of the Muses. But then take a word like mausoleum. Is that just like a fancy museum? No, it's an above-ground tomb, and it's named after a person, Mausolus. His above-ground tomb was one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, and now we call them that after him. That's what this video is about. Words that are named after people, but you probably didn't know it. There are a lot of easy examples, and again, there are lots of them in science. Volts, that's named after Alessandro Volta. Pascal's, it's named after Pascal. Newton's, I'll let you guess who that's named after. There are some that aren't as common, but I think a lot of people do know that, for example, the Cleveland Browns are named after their first coach, whose last name was Brown. Some words sound like, yeah, maybe it's named after the guy that invented it, like the lynch pin. Is it named after John Lynch? No, the etymology of the word has nothing to do with a person. But like I said, there are some that you would never expect, like Bluetooth. That was the nickname of an old Viking king. In fact, the logo for Bluetooth is an overlap of the runes that make up his initials. So with that being said, here's a bunch of words that are named after people that I don't think you probably knew. Now, you probably knew that Sandwich really is a place. It's in England. And you probably heard that Sandwich is named after the Earl of Sandwich, and he invented them so he could supposedly play card games without leaving the table. But nobody remembers what his name actually was. It was John Montague. Silhouette is named after Etienne de Silhouette, and he was a French finance minister, and he had a reputation for being really cheap and austere. So portraits started to be called silhouettes because it's a cheap way to create a painting of somebody. Kind of like how Hoovervilles, those Depression-era ghettos that were set up, got named after Herbert Hoover. Boycott. This one's fun because it's a verb. A lot of things named after people are nouns, but Charles Boycott was a real person. He was an English land agent. Diesel fuel is named after Rudolf Diesel, who invented the diesel engine. The leotard. A guy named Jules Leotard. He was a French acrobat, and he popularized that suit. Braille is named after Louis Braille, who invented it. Guillotine is not French for to remove the head. It's named after Dr. Joseph Ignace Guillotine. Seems odd that a doctor is the one who came up with the beheading, but he did it because he thought it would be the quickest and most humane way of cutting somebody's head off. Nicotine is named after, I assume it's pronounced Jean Nicot. He was a French diplomat, and he brought tobacco to the country of France. I didn't know this. Cardigan is also a place. James Burdonnell was the Earl of Cardigan, and he popularized that type of sweater. The saxophone is named after its inventor, Adolphe Sax. Shrapnel is named after the inventor of the exploding shell. His name was Henry Shrapnel. To mesmerize is simply just named after Franz Mesmer, who was a physician who had these weird theories about animal magnetism, and somehow that led to the development of hypnosis. Bloomers, which are shorts that look like diapers, that's named after Amelia Bloomer, who was a woman's rights advocate. Maverick is named after Samuel Maverick, who was a Texas Ranger, and he refused to brand his own cattle, so a maverick is somebody who's independent. Jacuzzi, that's named after a person. His name was Candido Jacuzzi. Ritzy, that is named after Caesar Ritz, he founded luxury hotels. It was like the Hilton a long time ago. Sequoia trees. This one's fun for me because I live right next to Sequoia National Forest. But Sequoia was the name of a Cherokee man who developed the first ever writing system for the Cherokee language. The guppy fish is named after its discoverer, Robert John Leshmere Guppy. Zamboni sounds like a completely made-up word. It's just meant to be fun, but no, the inventor of the Zamboni, Frank, his last name was Zamboni. Draconian is named after Draco of Athens, who was an ancient lawmaker whose laws were pretty harsh. Tantalize is named after Tantalus. He's the Greek figure who is trapped in water, and every time he reaches for food in the branches above him, the water lowers, and every time he tries to drink from the water he's in, it also lowers, and so he can never get what he wants. Chauvinism, or chauvinistic, that is named after Nicholas Chauvin, who was a soldier in Napoleon's army. And the last one is mentor. Mentor is the name of the person that Odysseus left in charge of his son and his palace when he left to go fight in the Trojan War. Like I said, a lot of scientific terms like amps and ohms and things like that, I left those off because I think kind of everybody knows those. Now, if you know any brand products or everyday words or whatever that are named after people that you think nobody really knows that story, please share them below. Thanks for watching.